Welcome back to another video with On Point Politics, your number one stop for all things polling and election analysis in the United States. And today we're going to be looking at the latest state individual polls. Make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this. And so, looking at these safe Republican states that we do not need to worry about in this video are Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, Alaska, both Dakotas, as well as all of Nebraska except the 2nd Congressional District, including Kansas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Missouri, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, and West Virginia, as well as the state of South Carolina. Looking at these safe Democrat states, we have California, Washington, Oregon, as well as Illinois, Vermont, Massachusetts, Maryland, and DC. Those are all of these safe Democrat and Republican states that we have already filled in prematurely on the map, and we will be going from west to east, filling out all of the individual state polls. According to the latest poll from TIPPP Insights, with about 736 likely voters, we have 1 point lead for Kamala Harris in the state of Nevada. This puts the state in the lean Democrat column for Kamala Harris. Looking at the state of Arizona, we will see the next poll out of the state currently has Donald Trump up by 1 point from the latest Atlas Intel poll with almost 1,000 likely voters. This will be putting the state in the lean Republican column for Donald Trump. Nevada and Arizona have historically voted separately from each other for quite some time, ever since 2004. However, they voted together for the first time in 2020 when Joe Biden won both states by a few points. Looking at this now, Nevada has been trending to the right more than Arizona has, and so there is a possibility that Arizona may be voting to the left of Nevada this cycle, or at least be voting relatively together. And so, whichever way Nevada goes, I expect Arizona to do the same and vice versa. Looking at the next state, which is the state of Colorado, which used to be a former Republican stronghold that has now become a deep blue Democrat state, currently holds a 10-point lead for Kamala Harris in the latest morning consult poll with about 512 likely voters. This will be putting the state in the likely Democrat column. If we actually go ahead and look up the latest morning consult poll from the 2020 cycle, it did actually get the margin about right in the state of Colorado, and I currently have the state as a 9-point victory in my forecast, so it seems like this morning consult poll may actually end up being relatively what the result will be on election day. However, Colorado has been trending to the left than most states, and so even though Donald Trump is improving in the state of Colorado by only 3 or 4 points, he will more than likely improve in other states by way bigger margins, considering that Colorado is just more naturally of a Democrat state now. Looking at the state of New Mexico, the polling here has been relatively accurate. So looking at the latest poll from Survey USA, we see an 8-point lead for Kamala Harris in the state of New Mexico. We'll be plugging this in the likely Democrat column as of right now. I expect the state to be much more competitive than this. I actually have it as a 3.5-point win for Kamala Harris right now. However, a lot of the polling data just suggests that Harris is up in the state by a pretty decent amount. Now, looking at the state of Texas, this is a huge amount of electoral college votes. And looking at the latest poll, Donald Trump is up 6 points in the latest Emerson College poll with about 950 likely voters. This will be putting the state in the likely Republican column, keeping its Republican streak since 1976 when Jimmy Carter won his election through the state of Texas. Looking at the state of Hawaii, this one's fascinating because we don't really have a lot of polling data out except about one poll where Biden was only up in the state by roughly 8 percentage points. And I don't expect Kamala Harris to do any better, as she's been polling somewhat similarly with Joe Biden with the Asian vote. And so I will be putting Hawaii in the likely Democrat column in this video. Going to the Nebraska 2nd Congressional District, we will go to the state of Nebraska's column here, and we will end up finding that Harris is actually up 9 points in the latest poll from the New York Times/Siena College in the Nebraska 2nd District with about 680 likely voters. This will be putting it in the likely Democrat column as of right now. Going to the state of Iowa, this one is also pretty fascinating. We will go ahead and check this one out, but the latest poll actually has a lean margin from Seltzer & Co. However, I do not expect the state to be a lean margin. This is what the latest accurate pollster in the state has for Iowa. However, the latest poll from the state was done just a few weeks ago, and the September polling from Ann Seltzer always tends to be pretty inaccurate compared to what the actual result is. Usually their October polling tends to be the more accurate poll in the state of Iowa, so we'll be waiting for that poll to drop very, very soon. Looking at the state of Minnesota, this one's also going to be a pretty interesting one too, because if you go to the state of Minnesota, the latest poll currently has the state as a 6-point win from Survey USA with about 646 likely voters. So we will be putting that in the likely Democrat column as of right now. Going to the state of Wisconsin, this is the next state on the map that we will be filling out. Donald Trump currently is down in the state from the latest New York Times/Siena College poll by 2 percentage points. So we will be putting that in the lean Democrat column in this video. Looking at Michigan, this will be another state to look at. It's a decent amount of electoral college votes, currently about a tie with the likely voter screen. And if we look at the previous poll, it has Atlas Intel with Trump up by 3. So since the likely voter screen from the latest poll is a tie, we'll be looking to the previous poll to fill in the result, and Donald Trump is up 3 points in that poll. So we'll be plugging in a tilt margin in the state of Michigan for this video, which helps Donald Trump out in the electoral college. Going to the state of Ohio is pretty fascinating because Donald Trump is currently up in the state, its latest poll, by about 6 percentage points from the New York Times/Siena College. To give some context, however, we can actually try to see if they actually ended up doing their own poll, which they did in fact do one, and they actually had Biden winning the state by 1 point when Donald Trump won it by 8. That's an 8-point miss. If you were to apply the 8-point miss to the 6-point lead here, it actually kind of matches up what I have in the state, which they would show about a 14-point lead for Donald Trump, or about a 15-point lead actually, because it's a 9-point miss. So that'd actually be a 15-point lead. I currently have the state as a 16-point win, so the polling error kind of lines up with what I have. But just for the sake of the video, the latest poll does show a likely margin as of right now in the state of Ohio. Looking at the state of Florida, 30 electoral college votes for either candidate. The latest poll in the state of Florida currently has Donald Trump up by a single percentage point, which is not really accurate. I doubt that that's going to end up being the case. But for the sake of the video, we do have to put it in the lean Republican column. Donald Trump still wins those electoral votes. Looking at the state of Georgia, the next key battleground state in this election, the latest result from Atlas Intel does have a 1-point lead for Donald Trump of about 1,200 likely voters in the state. So that will go in the lean Republican column, and Donald Trump is slowly closing in on 270 electoral college votes. Looking at the latest state poll from North Carolina, we will see that the latest poll currently has a tied poll from SSR, which is the pollster that works with CNN, so that's about a tied result. Looking at the previous poll, Harris was up about 4 points in the head-to-head, so that will be putting the state in the tilt Democrat column in this video. Looking at the poll from Virginia, this is another interesting poll because the polls have been pretty competitive here. The latest poll from Emerson College does have about a 7-point lead in the state of Virginia, so that will be going in the likely Democrat column in this video. Looking at Pennsylvania, this is another interesting, polling here, because if you go to the state of Pennsylvania right now, Donald Trump is actually up by 3 points in the latest poll with about almost 2,000 likely voters. So that will be a lean Republican margin, and that'll put Donald Trump up in the electoral college in this video at 279 electoral college votes. Looking at some of these other states now, we will be going to the state of New York to fill out the next key battleground state here. The latest poll, having Emerson College with about 1,000 likely voters, has Donald Trump down by 14 points in the state, with Harris leading by about 15 points or 14 points. Looking at Maine at large, the latest poll from the state currently has the following results: about a 7-point win in the Maine's 2nd Congressional District, a 26-point win in Maine's 1st, and about a 9-point win in the at-large vote. Looking at the state of New Hampshire, this is another key battleground state. We do see that the latest poll does actually have Harris up by about 11, but when you reweigh that poll, it is actually about only a point win in the state. And I'm actually curious to see if we can go back to 2020 just to see what that poll even had. They had about Biden plus 8, give or take, so they actually ended up overestimating Biden's support by like a tiny bit in the state, give or take. So it is known to overstate the support there. And currently, right now, Harris is up by about 11 points in that poll. So that'll go in the likely Democrat category. Looking at these final Northeastern states, going to the state of Connecticut, we currently see a 16-point lead in the latest poll. So that'll be going in the safe Democrat column. However, polling here is known to underestimate Donald Trump. Delaware is the next state from Slingshot Strategies, a 17-point lead in the state of Delaware. Looking at New Jersey, this one's also pretty interesting. I wonder if they've done any new polling. It seems like they have not done any new polling. Donald Trump currently up 1 in the latest poll, so we'll be putting that in the lean Republican column, although I don't expect the state to end up going lean Republican. Now, Rhode Island is another state, which is the final state we have to fill out on this map. Currently about a 13-point lead, actually, from the same poll that found Connecticut as a 16-point lead, which is weird because Rhode Island is actually more liberal than Connecticut by a tiny bit. So that'll go in the likely Democrat column. So for this video, Donald Trump is winning with 294 electoral college votes to Harris's 244 electoral college votes. Make sure to hit the like button and to subscribe if you want more content just like this, and I will see you guys in the next video.